Besant Technologies, and today I'll be walking you through the course Automation Testing. So for automation testing, we are actually taking Selenium into account, but first we have to understand that how automation can be helpful in Agile methodology, because many of the companies today we are following Agile, right? So Agile is nothing but a continuous incremental model where our previous iteration becomes our regression suite and the current increment becomes our functional testing. So in order to conduct our regression as well as functional testing, we can automate our test cases using Selenium. So I will be covering you to some of the topics as best practices for continuous testing in Agile, and why we need automation testing, why Selenium is preferred over other automation tool, what are the integrations supported by Selenium, and then we will go to another slide which will talk about TestNG framework that is there of Selenium. Okay, so in best practices, as we already told that in Agile means incremental model plus continuous. So it is nothing but a continuous integration model. So the best practices first we come is lean testing. So lean testing requires being fully focused on providing value for the business rather than spending time and effort on producing artifacts that don't provide value. We should organize testing in a lean way. We should pair our developers and testers in such a way to ensure effective unit testing is performed, reduce unnecessary testing artifacts such as extensive test plans and test cases, reducing waiting times for testing, adopt a more exploratory attitude to testing when testing manually. Second point we come is collaborate with business. As we all know that the business analyst or the product owner gives us the requirement which a QA resource has to analyze and see what are the functional scope, what is my scope in regression, and how many automation percent can I achieve in a particular sprint, and how much automation test cases can be there as a part of my test coverage. That is why we need to collaborate with the business and see how many test cases we can automate in a particular sprint. Third is implement a QA practice. We should build a strong testing or QA practice which drives development. Define an agile QA testing strategy. Run regular QA workshops where the testers can improve their technical skills as well as soft skills. Implement appropriate testing techniques leveraging technical architecture diagrams, model of application and mind maps. Embed QA within the team so that they are aware of any changes to the application. So fourth point which is important for us is automate the test cases. So as we already know that in manual testing there may be chance of any test cases being missed. So, and what we generally do as a testers is sometimes we miss our test cases because we feel very lazy to execute big test cases, and there may be a chance that a defect may get leaked. So in those scenarios where the business is critical or we do a repetitive task, automated testing is the first choice of our work being done. And then our fifth point is we can deploy our deployment can be automated. Okay, so we can use different deployment techniques so that whenever the QA to build, dev to QA build or QA to prod build happens, the deployment is done automatically so that we can save time. So this is the agile testing quadrant, in which in our first quadrant we have the unit test or component test, and this can be done by a developer using JUnit. Okay, so this is nothing from a QA perspective. The second is, which we need to do as a QA perspective, is automated and manual testing. So manual testing can be functional testing, regression testing, and automation testing also can be manual and regression, but we need to see the scope of our testing. So how much percent automation can we achieve? If it is a web application, how much testing we can do using Selenium, because Selenium supports web application testing. It does not support any Windows application testing. So we cannot access any of the icons or double click it. So anything within our web page or explicitly scan some of the documents by using some of the add-ons which are present for Selenium, we can do automation testing. And the third one is the manual testing quadrant, where we do exploratory testing. There is no test case written, there is no script defined, there is no test strategy that is defined. You can do testing on your own. And the fourth is the performance and load testing, that is being done using a tool called as load runner, where the performance team either use load runner or JMeter to do load testing, and security testing is done by the security team. So this is another topic which is present in Agile, is test driven development. So here what happens is the developer adds a test and he executes a test for the small module he develops, and then if his test case fails, then he or she may again change the code and execute the test case until it passes. Okay, so now what are the challenges we face with Agile software development? There are chances of error, as Agile is fast. Agile means fast, right? So new features are introduced quickly, which reduces the available time for testing to identify whether the latest features are according to the requirement or not. Test execution cycles are highly compressed, very less time to prepare test plan. For regression testing, they have a minimal timings, and also change in their role from being a gatekeeper of quality to being a partner in quality. And as there is requirement change more often from the customer as well as from the business analyst side, so testing becomes a more challenge. So our question is, why we need automation testing? Automation software testing is important because manual testing of all workflows, all fields, all negative scenarios is time and money consuming. It is difficult to test for multilingual sites manually. Automation does not require human intervention. You can run automated tests unattended overnight. That means you can run an automation test case at any time by scheduling it through task automation or continuous integration tool such as Jenkins, so with Selenium supports. And then automation also helps us to increase our test coverage. Manual test case can sometimes be boring. In such scenarios, the tester, what he feels that what I am doing is repetitive and quite boring task, and in that scenario he might miss a defect or a major bug in the system. So that is why we use automation testing, so that it is less error prone. A machine will run as a human need. We will write the code and run it at the preferred time. We will not be dependent on an individual. So which test cases to automate is our next question. So the first answer is the test cases to be automated can be selected as per business criticality. So if it is a high risk business critical scenarios, then we can automate test cases that are repeatedly executed, test cases that are very tedious or difficult to perform manually, test cases which are time consuming. So what are the advantages of automation testing? So automation testing is 70% faster than the manual testing, wider test coverage of application features, reliable in result, ensure consistency, saves time and cost, improve accuracy, human intervention is not required for execution, reusable test script, only to market. So we need less time to test through automation testing, because in manual we may have some other work, so we may ignore some module, but in automation testing, if I am testing for module 2 manually, I can automate my module 1 and run it at any time. So my module 1 automation test scripts will run and give some of the results. So what are some of the disadvantages? So automation test cases has many advantages. It has its own disadvantage also. So proficiency is required to write the automation test scripts. Debugging the test scripts is a major issue. Test maintenance is costly, and maintenance of test data is difficult if the test script more screens are present. So what is Selenium? Selenium is a free automated testing suite for web application across different browsers and platforms. It is quite similar to HP Test Pro, only that Selenium focuses on automation web-based testing. Testing done using Selenium tool is usually referred as Selenium testing. Selenium is not just a single tool, but a suite of software. So in earlier phases, what Selenium had introduced was something known as Integrated Development Environment or Selenium IDE. So it was basically a record and play tool. But what happened in our present scenario is our web application is becoming more of dynamic than that of static. So the div elements, the ID, the name, the locators, whatever we use can change at any point of time. So we may record some locators at particular point of time, but when we run it, the ID value changes, so our script fails. That is why IDE failed. The second was Selenium RC. But as you know that in Selenium RC, when it was introduced, it had only support for Firefox. But nowadays, what we use is the most widest browser, which is the Google Chrome. The Google Chrome is the most popular and widest even in all the software industry products. So whatever we verify as a web component or a web product is certified in Google Chrome. That is why WebDriver was introduced. So WebDriver had support for Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, etc. And then they introduced a concept known as Selenium Grid, where they introduced a concept known as Selenium Hub and Node. As you know from the word hub is nothing but a mother computer kind of thing where you set up your main machine and there are nodes. In those nodes, you will have different OS and different browsers that will be running. Suppose I run in node 1 my Chrome browser and in Ubuntu. In my node 2, I run in Safari in my Mac OS. In node 3, I run in Firefox in Windows. So I run the same test cases, same test scripts, same tools suite, but in different nodes. So that is the advantage of using a Selenium grid. Now we come to a topic known as what are the languages and platforms supported by Selenium. So Selenium WebDriver can be used using any of the languages like Haskell, Java, JavaScript, C, Perl, PHP, Python, Ruby, and the browsers supported are IE, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Opera. The operating systems which are supported by Selenium are Windows, Mac, Linux, and Solaris. So there are many testing frameworks present, but the most famous is the TestNG, which is used by a QA, and JUnit is used by a developer. So what are the integrations supported by Selenium? So the first is Jenkins. So in Jenkins, what we do is basically schedule it through a continuous integration. Jenkins is nothing but a continuous integration tool where we actually schedule all our test suites using that Jenkins tool. So if we want to run it on a particular day or time, suppose I want to run it at 3 am in the morning, I can schedule my Jenkins job at 3 am giving all the test suites so that all my test suite will get executed and I'll get the result in an emailable format directly coming to my email. So that can be achieved through Jenkins. So next is what? Securely. So securely is nothing but to handle Flash objects on a web page and windows pop up with ease. The third integration supported by Selenium is APM, where you can automate an iOS application as well as an Android application. The fourth is Maven and the fifth is Cucumber. The Cucumber is basically a behavior-driven development framework that acts as a bridge between software engineer and business analyst, manual tester and automation tester, manual tester and developer. Cucumber also benefits the client to understand the application code as it uses Gherkin language, which is a plain text. Anyone in the organization can understand the behavior of the software. The syntax of Gherkin is in simple text, which is readable and understandable. Finally, we come to our conclusion of the first slide, where we saw how automation testing can be used in Agile and how Selenium helps us to achieve it, and what type of browsers Selenium supports and what are the OS Selenium supports and what are the integrations Selenium supports. So in our coming back to Selenium, so Selenium is an open source tool that is used for test automation. It is licensed under Apache License 2.0. Selenium is a suite of tools that helps in automating only web applications. This tutorial will give in-depth understanding of Selenium and related tools, but we will concentrate mostly on the installation of the TestNG. So, as I already told in my previous slide, that Selenium WebDriver, which will be concentrating, because Selenium WebDriver has the support of all the modern browsers like Chrome, Safari, IE, Firefox, etc. So WebDriver interacts directly with the browser and uses the browser's engine to control it. WebDriver is faster as it interacts directly with the browser. So have you ever wondered that whenever you invoke a browser WebDriver driver equal to new Chrome driver and you just run it through Eclipse, and you can see a browser window that pops up coming in the top, data, semicolon. So that is nothing but your browser driver, that is not the real driver. So whenever we run a Selenium code, a browser driver get invoked which directly communicates with the real browser and real browser elements, and we can be able to handle all the objects or do any web element operation using that browser driver. And the browser driver internally interacts with the real browser and sends the HTML request, whatever it is. So now we come to a topic called Selenium TestNG. So what is TestNG? TestNG is a powerful testing framework, an enhanced version of JUnit, which was in use for a long time before TestNG came into existence. NG stands for next generation. TestNG framework provides the following features. Annotations help us to organize the tests easily. Flexible test configuration. Test cases can be grouped more easily. Parallelization of test can be achieved using TestNG. Support for data-driven testing and inbuilt reporting. So, as you might have used normal log4j as an jar file import to Selenium. So in that we used to import the log4j properties and then write the logger class and then write logger.info in every step to get whatever log we are getting. But in TestNG it is very easier. Just you can define reporter.log and whatever statement you want to show in your console, all will be present in your log file automatically. So TestNG has a lot of advantage also. Another advantage is you don't need to write the main class like you used to write for a normal Java class while you used to invoke a Selenium. Okay, so in TestNG you don't need to write main method. You can directly execute and get the desired result in test output folder. So in test output you can also get HTML kind of report, and also you can get emailable report also, which can be emailed to all the stakeholders whom you want to send the test report. And also TestNG has different annotations. So some of the annotations are at test, so where you need to write the test cases, whatever test you want to execute, you can define the priority as priority 1, 2, whichever order you want to execute the test cases, or you can write before test, you can write before method, after test, after method, before class, after class, or whatever the operations you want to do. So it is nothing but like defining the preconditions in our test cases. So in Selenium, automation test case is nothing but a one-to-one mapping between the manual test case. So when I tell you that you have to test a search functionality in a Flipkart, so what are my preconditions? My precondition is the browser should be opened, flipkart.com URL should be entered and hit on entering, going onto my home page. I should be able to see the search box. Inside the search box I need to type all the elements and then click on search, and then I get the desired results. Similarly in automation test case, how you map it is driver.get for launch browser, then driver.find element for the search box, and then you need to pass on whatever you need to enter in the search field using .send key, and then you need to enter by isolating key.enter or by clicking on the search icon. So basically a manual test case and a automation test script cases has a one-to-one mapping. So you have to identify and execute a script as per the requirement. So now for installing TestNG for Eclipse, first step is to launch Eclipse and select install new software in the help. So when you click on the help, you find install new software. So you need to click on that. After clicking on that, you get an install page where you see available software work with. In that work with, just type http://beust.com/eclipse and then click on add. And then after that, on clicking on add, you will find a dialog box which opens add repository dialog. You have to enter name as TestNG and click on OK. So after that, you again get navigated back to the available software page. In that available software page, now you see TestNG as an entry, and there will be a checkbox on the left. So basically, you have to check on that checkbox. You have to click on that checkbox, and after clicking on the checkbox, you have to press next, which is present on the bottom. And when you click on next, it shows you calculating requirements and dependencies. When you are not able to see this, that means you have faced some error or your internet is slow. You again need to go back to the next step, previous step, and then check your internet connection, and then again re-enter all those steps, and then again come back to this step. After that, the review and license page will come up, which will tell you to accept or not accept the license. So in order to finish the installation, you have to accept the license, and then you need to click on finish. And after clicking on finish, the TestNG is finished. You need to restart the Eclipse, and after the Eclipse, restarting the Eclipse, now you need to check, right, whether my TestNG is correctly installed or not. So that is the major question. So after restarting your Eclipse, just go on to the window, and from that click on show view, and from that show view click on other as shown in the slide. When you click on the other, you can see a show view. In this show view, when you expand the Java folder, you can see TestNG as shown in this screenshot. So if you see this TestNG, that means your installation is perfect. But if you don't see this TestNG, your installation is wrong. That is why you need to check after installation and restart whether your TestNG is there or not. If your TestNG is there, you are perfectly good to go. After that, how to create a TestNG class is our question. So we'll launch the Eclipse and create a new Java project and click on next. After clicking on next, it will ask us to enter a project name. We will enter it to be a test demo and leave the others as it is. Either we can click next or we can directly go on finish. If we click on next, we can add jars of Selenium using add external jars, and the jar of Selenium which we had downloaded in the folder path, you can give it and you can apply and you can finish. When you finish it, you can see a folder structure like this. So now what you need to do is you need to right click on the source and need to click on new. After you click on new, you need to click on other and you need to select TestNG class and click on next. So when you click on next, you get three fields: the source folder, the package name and the class name. What you need to do is you need to put a package name. So here I have given my package name to be scripts. So when you give a package name to be scripts, under your source in the Java folder, a package script get automatically created and you can give the class name to be new test and you can click on finish. And so when you do this, your folder structure looks like this. So first you have the Java folder which is known as the test demo. Under source you have a package which is known as a scripts. Under scripts you have a class known as new test. So your TestNG new test class looks like this. So you have public class new test @test public void f, and then you have opening closing of braces. And you need to import for annotation. Suppose I have a test annotation, you need to import org.testng.annotations.test. Now we can write any code in the test and we can run it, and then only we will see the results on the consoles. Also, we will find all the reports in the test output folder which will be generated, and also there will be HTML output as well as the emailable report folder. So thank you for up to this. If you get any doubt regarding the TestNG installations and get any error, you need to restart again. So thanks a lot for the TestNG tutorials. So I am